I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
On today's episode of 1 Minute Reactions to Black Clover, episode 106, Path of Revenge, Path of Atonement. Now, for those who are new to Black Clover, you may be clicking on this video thinking, what the hell does this title mean? But for those who have been there since the very beginning, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I wasn't in a particularly bad mood this morning. I woke up like I normally do, got myself something to eat, and readied my TV like on every Tuesday because Tuesday is the day for Black Clover. But as I began watching this episode, something irked me. We got to a certain scene, as you can tell by the thumbnail, that absolutely infuriated me to the point where I needed to state it in the prologue of this video. Now, we all know how passionate I am about this series in particular. I did a very boisterous, scripted video that just pretty much sums up the entirety of my emotional connection as well as my thought towards the anime of Black Clover. And it's almost a disservice to the source material. Now, I've pushed past this because, like I said, I love the series. It's a good story, interesting characters, and I'm pretty much hooked to the point where I want to see where it's all going to end up. And as we entered what all of you told me was the most amazing arc, the end-all be arc, and we've had glimpses of it that this arc is freaking amazing, it seems to amplify the annoyance factor when we see something so disgustingly off-model. It's hard to watch. Now, I didn't notice at first. It actually took me a couple seconds because I do like to rewatch certain scenes. I just honestly wanted to get another glimpse of the Asta canon, and I freeze frame, and it just looked weird to me. So there's no way. There's no way. So I click into it. I'm like, this is the only Asta part in this whole episode. Let me do a little bit of comparison. And this is where I got angry. So I went online and I looked up and I found the chapter it's in. It's in chapter 165. And the art of the Asta canon is fucking ridiculous. Where it looks absolutely goofy in the anime, the manga just exudes power and dynamics that the anime seems to completely disregard in a weird, deformed smile. So then I began to rewatch the rest of the episode, and I noticed that a majority, that means over 50%, the characters seemed off-model, and the animation is almost staggered at some points. We know this. We know that Black Clover gets outsourced, but can you really call it outsourcing at this point when it's over half of the episode? I mean, there's some pretty good moments that seem to be wrecked by this art and animation. Like I said, the Asta canon, the whole battle between, the original Zerks. Yeah, we see him make an appearance as a newly reincarnated elf, only to be trounced by the shittiest animation I've seen in a while. And even as we move forward, we see a huge disservice to one of the most important characters who have just recently passed. We see that in a flashback with William, who's retelling his side of the inevitable meeting of this combined soul. He's been living in the same body as him. We see the most off-model depiction of Julius I've ever seen. And then the animation where he hands William his mask is just weird, and there's like an onion skin effect going on. I don't know really what the fuck's going on there. And then ending out the episode with just, again, some of the worst animation I've seen in such a long time, with one of the biggest revelations I never saw coming. Like, I'm so shocked of what just happened. It took me a second to realize how shitty it was happening. So yeah, this first portion of the episode's gonna be a rant. I'm sorry if you don't like rants. I'm sorry if you don't like me complaining, but honestly, these are the days that makes watching this series so hard. And in the end, there's only one entity to blame, and it's Studio Pierrot. And it's not only this series. I recently posted on Twitter all the issues with Ultramarine Magmel, a Netflix drop from that studio, and the animation's just as shitty. I mean, it was an awesome concept. I went online and read some of the online manga. They switched shit around. The art was just off. The animation was off. There's weird pauses in the animation. Just, it seems to be Pierrot. I don't know if they're spreading themselves too thin. Maybe they're trying to capitalize on the weekly anime versus seasonal. I don't know. But like, look at Magmal. It's 12 episodes, yet it's a good story, just the shittiest execution. I mean, there's some good scenes. There are some good scenes. There's some good animation, but again, it's a patchwork of good and bad. You can have the most beautiful car in the world, a fucking $10 million super rare, best looking car in the world, but if you see one scratch, you focus on that scratch. And we're not talking about one scratch. We're talking about literally half the series. So it's you're doing a disservice to your source material. Look at Demon Slayer. It improved upon its source material and everyone fucking loved it. Look what you're doing to Black Clover. This is the literally one of the, this is all the talked about arc coming up. This is the end all be all arc. Everyone says it's one of the best arcs and you're fucking ruining it with your shit ass animation. Whew. Honestly, I feel tired after that. Trying to struggle myself, get past the art and animation. Let's go actually talk about the story. Now, last we left off, you see what I did there? That's an interesting segue. Anyways, last we left off, the Black Bulls are finally united after dispelling the reincarnation that was placed upon Luck. So after everyone shows up, minus Finral, Yami, and Zora, the Black Bulls, using Henry's recombination magic in the hideout, head towards the capital. And today's episode picks up right after that. Upon heading to the capital, they notice that there are 3 major power sources coming from the next town up. Considered the best town in the common region. It is completely being destroyed by elves. And one of them has a very familiar name. Yes, it is Xerx Lugner. This is the alias used by Zora when he entered the Royal Knights entrance exam. Yeah, you know, he was the piece of shit that was picking on the old lady that Zora took care of once he entered the royal capital. But honestly, those 3 superpowered mages, now elves, are just no match for the Black Bulls, especially when you have Charmy playing supportive role, literally feeding them nonstop to make sure they're recouping their magic. Basically, they're having an endless supply of fucking mana, and Henry, I don't know if he saw this inevitable outcome or maybe he's able to recombine stuff on the fly, not only turns the Raging Bull back into the mech version, out pops several cannons that are being fed. What is the ammunition? Magna, Luck, and Gordon. Oh my god, I'm so glad I can finally hear Gordon. I'm so glad that he is speaking up. And they launch just an assault of fire, lightning, and poison magic, and the elves are just having a hell of a time. A hell of a time. And even when they go on the offensive, Xerx tries to do some ice magic. Vanessa and Rogue. The cat is O-fucking-P. Literally touching the castle this time, and is able to basically avoid all of his ice magic. The elves are definitely losing at this point, and they go in for a combined magic assault, and this is where we see the Asta Canyon. Yes, literally shot from the chest of the Raging Bull, completely eviscerating their swirling combined mana and dispelling the reincarnation spell once again. Now, while the Black Bulls are claiming victory over the unconscious elves, it seems another one is beginning to awake. Still at the ritual site at the Demon Skull for the reincarnation spell, the Eye of the Midnight Sun leader, Licht, or now known as Patri, is beginning to snap out of his unconsciousness state due to the extreme exertion of the spell he just performed. And what we get in this sequence is the last glimmer of William's consciousness. Yes, before the elf soul fully takes over William's body, we get a flashback into William's thinking, again reflecting on the decisions he's made, primarily on the impossible position he was put into deciding who to trust. The soul he shared his body with, the being he considered his only friend, or the man who believed in him and truly gave him a new lease on life. And in the end, he couldn't decide. And I gotta say, it's a hard position to be put into, and it really makes you feel sorry for the dude. But before long, the flashback is over. William's soul is finally asleep. Patri has finally gained full control. Saying goodbye to his only human friend, he heads out to the royal capital. This is an interesting little introspection into an elf's thought process, or at least Patri's. Now, we know that they despise humans, their hatred and their sorrow, just everything is amplified, yet he is able to mourn a human. And I'm questioning whether Patri's soul, like I've theorized in earlier episodes, maybe hasn't been tainted, or is this because he just really does have a stronger connection between him and William, who have literally shared a body, you know, almost the entirety of William's life. But just as Patri is heading out, it seems even more bodies are resurrecting. Yes, Valtos, Sally, and Rades have come back from the dead. Now here's an interesting scene. The main reason I was so shocked, the main reason that the reincarnation spell happened, the main reason where I thought it was just this giant fuck you from Patri was the fact that he utilized their souls, their mana, their whatever, their life, their sacrifice to initiate this spell, and now they're back. So it's almost like the intensity was lost in a way. Like having that death there solidified Patri as a villain, but now the only death is the Wizard King, who makes him a villain, obviously. I really don't know how to describe the scene. It's like a weight has been lifted. Like it's not as serious. Like, oh, they're okay, so yeah? I don't know. It's a weird feeling to see them resurrect. Oh, and by the by, did anyone else totally get a Brook from One Piece, vision when you saw that soul come back into his body? Totally got deja vu right there. Anyways, they're back. They're at it again. But instead of joining up with the Eye of the Midnight Sun, the people who betrayed betrayed them. They're going out for revenge. Who do they fucking teleport to? The Black Bulls. And again, like I said, coming off their newly resurrected moment, this giant revelation, giant surprise, we're hit with another series of just the shittiest animation again when he is grappling with Asta. Asta's like, no, we are going to go protect everyone. This isn't revenge mission. Sally, I'll let you experiment on me. She says, okay. Valtos, hey, if you want to find out anything from Patri, we'll go ahead and do that, but you're going to help us. Okay. Rades isn't having any of that shit, but you know, as soon as he sees the food, he starts to turn around. So now the Black Bulls even have more freaking members, more allies to back them up in the fight for the capital, but of course they are, you know, terrorists who have done nothing but shitty things since their introductions. Can we really trust them? I don't know how we can. It's Asta, you're too trusting. You might be a little too naive at this point. But like I said, overall this episode is weird. I love the story, but the execution was just shit. Oh my god. Also, the resurrection of those three, it's interesting and I did not see coming at all, but it kind of loses all the intensity from when Licht at the time sacrificed them to initiate the entirety of the reincarnation spell. So I don't know. It's interesting. I really want to see where we go from here. I did see the preview and we're going to cut back to Captain Yami, Fenrir, and even Captain Jack shows up. So it's like we're getting into, at least it feels like we're getting into the more action-packed part of this arc. And I'm just hoping that they don't drop the ball going forward because don't want to make another one of these long-ass videos again where it just seems like I'm complaining. Anyways, with all that being said, and another Tuesday eventually coming, hopefully, you know, with their act a little more together, I cannot wait for future episodes.